All right. Welcome to this week's episode of our Shotmaker podcast. I'm really excited because football season's here. We've had some controversies already. But, in Shotmaker, we like to kind of use those controversies or things that have happened to bring them back for the business world. And I think this is a good one, right? So, Arbor, right, got in a little bit of trouble recently. Do you want to recap what happened exactly?
Well, I guess there was some, speculation that there were sign stealing. That'd be fair, right? Sign stealing and maybe a possible member of a so-called Big Ten school that might be in Ann Arbor. As a Penn Stater, I think, the cheating effect from, that they would send someone to other games out of the crowd and basically monitor their sideline.
Well, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a sighting. Barbara was out with Belichick for a couple of beers. And Belichick was tutoring him on how to do that. Apparently he's not as good as Belichick.
That's true. He got caught a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So Spidey too is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But, so taking that over to the business world, right, where we don't have rules against this, I think what we wanted to talk about are two things that we could learn from this. First, the idea of how important it is to be monitoring everything that's going on, right? You look at football and they have like 5 guys sitting up in the box and they're monitoring every move. And the idea is because the coach can't see everything.
Right.
So I think that's a huge aha moment as a business owner, because how many times do you just leave and go off? And rightly so, we don't want you to be in your business 24/7, but just assume your manager's going to see everything, right? And then you come back and it's like, how did you miss that, right? Where you look at a football team and they got like 10 eyes on the same players. So this is something to think about as an owner, as a leader. Like, how do you make sure? Because do we have an unrealistic expectation of what our manager is going to be able to see during a shift or over the course of a week?
I don't think it's unrealistic. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. So you do need some help with it, right?
Yeah.
Because you do have to see everything. It may be a lot, it might be a little bit unrealistic, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
And this is where you just have to have the eyes to do it. And you can't be afraid to have the eyes to do it.
And when we coach that's what we talk about is, managers being in, whether general manager or manager being in those loops and how they establish that loop, right? I was trained by someone at some point
to
do it.
This is my loop. Because if I'm in one spot, I definitely can't see as much as if I was a continuously moving spot. So,
well, and I think going back to the guys up in the box, sometimes it's the owner, right? So one of your roles as an owner, even if you do have a great coach or a great manager, would be to be that second set of eyes. Like, hey, I noticed there was a ton of people at the bar on Friday, but I noticed our sales are really low. Or, just kind of always asking those curious questions that could lead to other more important questions.
Right. Well, the manager is doing what they're supposed to do, and one of the terms is a figure 8.
Right.
And that's to walk the restaurant. And my favorite is the figure 8 because of just the way we used to walk the restaurant. Like, you see everything all the time. And you had to do that loop every 15 minutes. Wow. But it was a figure 8, so you went through everything, and it was really great. And there's all different names for it, depending on what company you work for. But not enough do it.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it in a mom and pop because they don't know about it.
Well, and I think that goes back to training, as we've talked so much about, especially in the last few months, is the idea of as you go into next year, forget your expectation of what your manager knows, right? Don't just say, hey, if you're a GM, you should know this. Instead, I think we need to really go back to, what do you know, GM? It might not be what we think it is, right? But that's okay, because then if we're honest about what you know, here's the things we need to work on. And one of them might be, what do you do during your shift? And this is where, again, I think, learning from sports, those guys up in the box, they might have a computer open, but they're not building in Excel. They're eyes on the game. Yeah. And how many times is your manager in the back, building out an Excel sheet during a Friday night shift?
Right. And that's the thing too, Scott, there's certain times, not in the office. There's peak times you're not in the office. There's very few times you can be in the office. So during them peak times, it's like you are that coach up there in the booth, looking down, watching everything. If you're not there watching that, then anything could be happening.
Yeah.
And everything would be going wrong. But to go back to, maybe he don't know.
Yeah.
right? So it's okay. So we'll have strengths and weaknesses, right? Maybe he was an assistant somewhere. He never had that. He never was alone.
Yeah.
He was always paired up with somebody else, right? And that manager didn't know they're supposed to do that figure eight because, you know, he was with Sally and she did it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the conversation, you know, here's my expectations.
Well, and I think that's one of the most important things that you guys bring to the table in your coaching program is that you build out a schedule for the manager in a way that's, you know, not like telling them they stink, but, you know, hey, in case you didn't know, you should be doing a figure eight, you know, every 15 minutes. In case you didn't know, you should be doing a walkthrough of your kitchen once a day, like, or whatever it is. And that's important to remind them.
Oh, yeah. And you know, and then the expectation is out there.
Yeah.
It's alive now, right? If you don't tell them it's in your head, right, and you think they know, then and they don't know, then it's never going to work.
Yeah.
You have to be able to put it out there. Like you said, when we build them out, they know because we talk to them, we show them, you know, we do everything we're supposed to do. We do it, we have them do it, we watch them do it, you know, and then we come back and we check on them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, because again, we're getting what they do and we're helping them to build a routine that works for the overall
Right.
restaurant with that. Now, it was called right place, right time.
Yeah.
Right? They need to be in the right place at the right time. And that was kind of what you were going earlier, is you're not going to be working on a schedule at the dinner rush. You're going to be out in front of the floor. So I think that sometimes is what they know or don't know about where they should be and when they should be.
Right.
Well, exactly. And I think the other part of this, you know, going back to our Ann Arbor is the idea of, you know, okay, football, it's not allowed to look at signs and look at your competition, but, you know, what's your experience about looking at your competition? I mean, should you be out looking? Yeah.
I do it all the time. I'll steal anything I can. You kidding me? If I think, that's great, I'm going to use that. I'm taking it back to the restaurant. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, I always give credit. Like, yeah, I seen that somewhere. You know, I don't really say where, but I tweaked it a little bit. It's even better now. You know, but yeah, you're always going to go out and, you know, if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be successful. Somebody's always coming up with something.
Yeah.
So always have your eyes open. Always, whenever I'm in somebody else's restaurant, I watch.
Yeah.
See if there's anything I can learn. Because you could always learn. If you think you're done learning, you're crazy. You're always going to learn.
And it's not what they were going for in the stands, but if you want to try to back to like being in the stands versus now like in the restaurant, you always have managers looking at it from a guest point of view.
Yeah.
So so now sit down at a table.
Right.
What do you see? You're now a customer, you're a guest, you're looking around.
Yeah.
What's the ambiance look like? What's it feel like? And I think that's, you know, doing a guest walk. Now, a lot of times you slow the manager down. Let's walk in from the front door.
Right.
So again, I miss you guys in the crowd. We're looking at, he's in the crowd now, not on the sidelines, but for a restaurant, like, let's walk in. Yeah. Let's walk through.
Well, we called that, we talked about this before, that is, let's look at the business from the outside in. Instead of looking at it from the inside out, right? Looking at it from the inside out, looking at it from a business perspective. When you're looking at it from the outside in, you're looking at it as a customer.
Right.
And you should take that walk, like Scott said. I would start my day in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Walk through the parking lot. I want it to be clean. I want the landscape to look nice, nothing in it. Go through the doors, the glass doors, right? They're clean, they're nice. You know, they've been Windexed. The floor is clean. And you take that walk all the way to the register. And then when you are, if you're in a fine dining or a sit down dining, where you go sit down and what you see. But you're looking for everything to be clean. Can I see in the kitchen? If I look in the kitchen, does everything look okay? You have to be the customer at that point.
Yeah.
Because how many times you walk in that first door, they said, like, you know, not Windex, it's dirty.
Windex.
Right.
The manager looks at you and
Little
goes,
things.
well, I didn't come in that way. I came in the back.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, well, I know, but every customer that walked in today didn't come in through the back. They came in through
They're not allowed.
But that's a normal response because they come in through the back door in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they may have actually never got past the front desk.
Yeah. Or even thought about it.
Not even thought about it.
Not even thought about it, right? And that's where rather than like, you know, yelling at them, it's more of a learning moment.
Right.
Like, yeah, I know you came in the back, but what about coming in the front?
Right.
That could
It's
just
a whole
be a
different
little
mindset.
sweet.
It's a whole
But if you do that walk with them, right? And I used to, you know, it was mandatory. This was one of my non-negotiables. You did that walk once a day as a manager. So you got 3 managers come in that day. That walk's done 3 times.
Yeah.
From the parking lot to the back.
Yeah.
You know, this way you catch everything.
Yeah. And that's where I think, you know, we can learn a lot from sports, right? Because when they show up to a game, they are ready.
Yeah.
You know, they have done as much as they can in the Arbor Approach. Maybe
a little more, a little extra.
No one can say they weren't prepared, right? And that's what we really want to look at, especially as we get into December. I mean, this is game time for you and your business. Like people are on, high energy, whether it's the holidays or family gatherings or events, whatever it is, like, this is a big deal to them. And you have to show up as if it's a big deal to you as well, right? It's not just a Friday now. Like, this is someone's holiday party for their company. It's the once a year gathering, like all of those special moments. And we really need to make sure that our team, is prepared. So going into the holidays quickly, if we're not going to go steal signs, or maybe we are, right? Maybe it is go check out competition. What's one thing that you think that someone should do just to check to make sure that they're ready for December?
Well, obviously, you're going to check inside your 4 walls that your staffing levels are good, right? You have somebody checking your reservation book if you have one. Maybe some callbacks for these parties that may be coming in, and then I'm going to sit with the chef. And, personally, I want to know what kind of specials are we running on the weekends during this holiday month, because the whole month is full of holidays, right? So we want to be prepared for them all. Then I want to know with the bar manager, too, what specialty drinks are we coming up with? And these are all really you could sit down and have 10, 15-minute conversations, and you could set your restaurant off in the right direction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll stick with looking at your restaurant like it's your customer, like it's your guest.
Yeah.
So just slow down, because it might be hard. It's really busy this time of year. You're going in different directions, but stop for a second. Like, all right, if I'm a customer right now, am I enjoying my meal? Do I feel good about the staff? And I think if you do that, do what Chris said, you should have a really successful holiday season.
Well, and that's really good. Maybe it is order a lunch, order a dinner. Just
definitely
test it out, try out your newest server, see how they do.
Right.
But little tweaks go a long way, right? We don't need to blow everything up, but really being mindful, looking at it like this is game time, this is time to shine. I think you can have a great December. So thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode, and we look forward to seeing you next week on our Shopmaker podcast.